Hello everybody and welcome back to another new vlog. Look at that bad boy behind me. I've got this tree just on the edge of a path. I'll show you the path just here. There's the path, and I've got this little cut in here, and as I swing round there we've got this tree that I've just taken a photo of. It was interesting because as I was walking up this path I was actually heading towards another tree which is about 50 yards in that direction. I'll show you in just a moment. But as I walked up this path towards it, I noticed this tree at the side of the path just in this cutting, and we've got sunlight at the moment and a little bit of cloud as well, and every now and then the sun's going behind the cloud. And as I walked along this path, the sun came out from behind the cloud and lit this tree up perfectly, and it was giving all these beautiful shadows and shapes, and all the texture of the tree was coming out perfectly. So I just thought, as I was here and it seemed like the perfect opportunity, I would capture that shot as well. I don't know how often I'll be able to get a shot of that, and I don't know whether I'll come back and even bother taking a photo of that again in the future, because it just has to have just the right light on it, and that's only fleeting as it was as I was walking past here today. So now I'm going to make my way to the other composition that I wanted to talk about. I'll see you there in just a moment. What an utter bell end. That composition I was talking about was more like 200 yards away, not 50 yards away. Basically I was stood just along the path along there at a point where the path just slightly bends slightly to the right as you walk along it, and I seem to remember that the composition I was looking for also was in a spot where that path bent slightly to the right. So I thought to myself that I was in the right place, but obviously I wasn't. I was 200 yards away instead of 50 yards away. Anyway, I'm here now, and in my last vlog of 2022 I stood in this exact spot here and took a photograph of this tree here with this little goldy coloured one just to the side of it. They kind of work well as a composition. I quite like them. I didn't actually vlog anything, record anything at all, just took the photo just because I quite like the image, but there wasn't really much to say about it, just the fact that it was those two trees. But at the time, while I was stood here, the light was just coming through the trees on the other side of the path, the sunlight, just as it was on the previous image I've just taken, and it was hitting the side of these trees just perfectly and giving me some interesting light. There wasn't very much light at that time, and in fact I think there's probably a little bit less today. However, where I'm standing now is right in front of another composition that I wanted to capture, and it's this tree right behind me, this one here. Look at the way those limbs and branches kind of bend away from each other just a few feet up. It's quite an interesting shot from exactly the right position. It doesn't quite work here, but if I take a few steps over in this direction, you can start to see then how the angle of view changes how that tree looks. So I'm going to stop here and take a photo of that. This will probably be a portrait orientation, but as you can see there's no light on that at all. The tree is kind of being backlit anyway by the light. However, at the moment the sunlight is behind a cloud, so hopefully I can capture this image before we get any more backlight that ruins the image. Hopefully. I've still got to set up the tripod yet. So here goes. I quite often talk on these vlogs about returning to places that you've been to before, just to see if you can find something different, something new, something interesting, and often it works out. Also, often one of the issues is that sometimes the light isn't quite right for the composition to work. So I may well be walking past a very interesting composition and see it as I'm walking through that space and think to myself, that'll be nice when the light's right, or that'll be nice when there's leaves on the trees, or that'll be nice in the winter when there's snow all around it. Often it's things like that which get me interested and get me coming back to similar locations regularly. and this is no exception. The images I've taken so far today have been exactly that. They're images that I've spotted before when I've been out and about walking and thought to myself, that could make an interesting composition. And what I tend to do is I'll mentally tag them, mark them, and that'll be my territory next time or in the future when I want to capture an image at that spot. And it's quite an interesting way of doing things, particularly in landscape photography and in woodland photography, because everything is so natural and everything is constantly changing, and there's no way that I've got any way of dictating that. I just walk through the scene and see what I can spot. Now I've come to this spot here, and I think there may be an interesting composition behind me with this path that I've walked down running back towards those trees in the distance. But also, as I turn round and carry on, I was going to head back down this path a little further and cut through at the bottom of the path here. But as you can see, I don't know how well you can see it, there's a silver birch tree lying across the path, and all of the branches and the twigs are basically blocking my path, almost like it was a gate. I think it's possible just about for me to wriggle under the bottom branch or try and climb through it somehow, but obviously I'll have to be careful. But I think that tree itself makes an interesting composition with the path running towards it and kind of creating this imaginary gateway that stops me from getting any further. So I'll take a shot of that, and I'll take a shot of the trees the other way along the path as well, because I think they work quite well. And then I'm going to head further down that path and see if I can get past that tree that's lying on the path and carry on further along there and see if there's anything else along there. You may have noticed that any sunlight we did have in the sky has pretty much gone now. It all seems to have gone behind the clouds, and everywhere's very, very dark. So it's quite interesting. It's not actually sunset just yet. We are probably just over an hour away from sunset. So I think within the next half an hour we will start losing the light anyway, but at the moment we're not losing it because the sun's gone down. It's because it's behind a big bank of cloud. Now, I've spotted here a path that I've been along before, just here through this woodland, and I didn't go very far along it the last time. I only went in far enough to be able to capture a decent photograph of a clearing just inside that little bit of woodland, about 100 yards from where I am now. But there was another part of the path that continued on further on from that cutting, and I've got an idea where it leads to, so I can't decide whether to walk down there and see if I can find any more shots down there and see if it does lead where I think it leads, or if I should carry on a different way and make sure I stay in the light where it's going to be safe. Might be interesting to try this one out, you know. I'll see what happens as I walk down this path. I didn't get very far. Obviously I had to stop and get this guy's portrait just behind me. It looks perfect, walking along the path, and there he was, just right there in front of me. And I don't know why I didn't see it before the last time I was in this area, because it's quite an obvious composition really when you look at it. But I've taken his photo and I'm going to head off further down the path now. I'm losing the light, so I think I'm going to call it quits for this vlog here today. I have just seen a couple walking their dog appear at the far end of the path and walk kind of up in that direction around in front of me. So I know that there is a path somewhere that leads out of here, so I'm going to head through this bit of woodland and find my way out. If you've enjoyed today's vlog, then please remember to give it a thumbs up, and remember also to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again on another vlog very soon. Bye for now.